Novak, welcome back to Rome. How much do you know about your opponent tomorrow, Etcheverry? He's posted a few funny things about catching up in the rankings.
Great to be here in Rome, thank you. I don't know much about him. I've watched him play several times. I've seen also his posts on decreasing the deficit in the points between us. So I wish him all the best. I think he seems like a very nice guy, coming from a country that has a lots of tennis success, and he looks like a very hard worker, fighter on the court. I wish him all the best, except tomorrow night.
Questions, please raise your hand and introduce yourself.
Andrew Danf, Associated Press. Hi, Novak. How are you feeling physically? Is it the right elbow that kept you out of Madrid, and is that still bothering you at all? Somebody said something during training the other day or something, maybe?
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, there's always some things here and there that bother you on this level. It's normal. Also, when you're not 25 anymore, I guess you experience that a bit more than what used to be the case. But takes a little bit more time, I guess, to recover. But I feel good. I miss competition, so I love playing in Rome. Historically, throughout my career, Rome has always been a very nice tournament for me. Had plenty of success, won it many times, and played also quite a few times in finals. My most successful clay court event, and the biggest one coming into French Open. So hopefully it can serve as a great springboard for me for what's coming up in Paris, where I want to play my best.
You and Carlos have this is the first tournament you've both been in this year. So just wondering what it's been like having almost like a long distance rivalry where you've traded number ones, you've won, you've both kind of dominated your opponents.
Sounds very romantic.
But you haven't played each other, at all in over a year.
Yeah, it is. I mean, strange that we haven't been in the same draw since the beginning of the season, but due to the circumstances on both sides, that didn't happen. I mean, he's going to be number one after this tournament, whatever happens, and deservedly so, because he's been playing some very impressive tennis on a great level. He's the player to beat on this surface, no doubt. Of course, it depends if Nadal is going to play in French Open or not, but Alcaraz is one of the top favorites. Without any dilemma, he's been playing fantastic tennis, and we've faced each other only once last year in Madrid. If we get a chance to face each other here, we'll be in finals. I think we would all both love to play in the finals, and let's see. It's a long tournament. There's a lot of great players, and it's a build-up for me, and for him. Coming into this tournament and also French Open, so yeah, that's all I can say. On the long distance relationship, I leave the imagination up to you. No comment on that.
Ciao. I have a child memory for you. Do you remember the first time you smashed your racket when you were a child? So what do you remember? What you felt? What happened that day? If
Wow.
you can tell us.
Wow. First time I received this kind of question, my friend. I really have no idea when that happened. Unfortunately for me or for my parents or my coaches, it has happened more than a few times. But I don't recall the first time it happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Is that?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. My story,
You remember when I smashed my racket first time?
When I smashed.
When you smashed it. I was like,
smashed, yes.
okay, when did you smash your racket first?
I was 12.
12?
I was 12.
Okay. I don't think I was that young, but I can understand you. Let's say I empathize with you. We go through same issues. Yeah. there's not much more I can say about it, but yeah, it happened more than a few times. It's not something I'm proud of, obviously, but it happens, I guess.
Novak, you talked about Carlos. If I can ask you about your old rival, Rafa, and Paris, what would it mean for the tournament in Paris? What would change if he doesn't show up? Number one. And number two, if he does come in with little to no match preparation, how challenging is that coming into a Grand Slam in that situation? Or in terms of Rafa and his record in Paris, does that not mean anything?
Well, it won't change anything in relation to my preparation. You know, obviously I'm looking to be performing the best that I can perform myself. But of course that the world of tennis and the Roland Garros tournament will be affected by his absence from the tournament because of, you know, his history in that tournament and generally what he has achieved in his career and the impact he has made on the sport. So, of course, him missing any tournament, but particularly the big ones, has an impact on the tennis world and the tennis fans. So I'm sure that there's, you know, everyone wants to see him there, and I think, you know, I would like to see him play because I think for the competition it was the best if you can have the best players in the world, so that the challenge is as big as it can be. And I know I've been seeing some videos that he's been training, he's been trying to get himself ready for it. So yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm obviously not in his shoes, not in his skin. I don't know what he's feeling, but I'm sure that he's trying his best to be there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I did an interview with Rune here, and I asked to him which one he will pick to go out for dinner between the Fab Four, and you choose yourself. Just to ask you the reason of your difficult and different choice in your life. Choice in your life.
Choices, okay.
In your life. Mm. And I would like to know from you which is the most difficult choice you did in your life. You did a lot of choices, and what it means to be an example, how tough is it to be an example for your country, for the tennis players, for the young people, for everybody.
Well, it's nice to hear from him that he would like to have a dinner with me. I hope he invites me for dinner. I still didn't get a question. If I do, I mean, I'll gladly accept it, because he knows, and we've been training quite a few times in the last few years. He's one of the leaders of the future generation of tennis. He knows I told him that whatever he needs, I'm always here, you know, and if he wants to have a conversation, or I know it's difficult because, you know, he's a top 5, top 10 player, so of course, you know, as a rival, you maybe don't want to get too close to your biggest rivals, but you know, it's we are in a different, in a way, positions, because I've been playing professional tennis for 20 years. He just started, so you know, if there is something that he thinks that I can help him with or share something, I'm always open for that. And as I always was and I always am for all the young players. Some of them, I mean, there's so many difficult decisions and choices I, you know, had to make in my career, in my life. I mean, it's hard to pick one and say, okay, this is something that has created an incredible transformation in my life. But I think that the most important one was to be professional athlete, professional tennis player. And at that time, when I was really young, a teenager, I didn't know what it means to be a professional tennis player and all the pros and cons. And I was very lucky in my career, in my life, to experience what I have and to be granted by God this opportunity to be able to play so long and be so successful. It's the sacrifices that you have to make really on a daily basis that we all have to make, you know. So I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell you how difficult my life is, because it's not, you know. People with far more difficult things that they're experiencing in their lives. So I've been blessed, you know, no doubt about it. But I think it's important to understand that we all are human beings and we all go through our own difficulties and challenges and obstacles. And it's okay not to be okay as well. I've seen that quote somewhere. I think it's a really simple way of kind of expressing really great wisdom of life, you know. We all talk today about, you know, you got to be so strong, you got to be always at your best, you know, and when you go through difficulties, it's especially as a man, you are going to be judged and criticized for maybe expressing things that you feel that you want to share, because you cannot be weak. You know, it's a sign of weakness, and I actually think it's contrary. You know, it's a great feeling of liberation when you cry, when you let things go, when you express your emotions, and I feel that most of the people can actually relate to that because I don't know anybody that is perfect, that is not going through any difficulty in life, mentally, emotionally. So we all go through that, regardless of the level of, I would say, regardless of our profession or the level we are at, or the success level or society roles that we have. There's a lot of labeling, there's a lot of different things that are happening, but I think it's important to go back to the basics really and understand why you started to do what you do, which for me in this case is tennis and professional sport that I always dreamed of playing. And as a kid, you start playing sport 99% of the time because you fall in love with it, because you have certain emotion that drives you, that makes you joyful, that makes you enjoy every single moment. So I think this is something to always go back to, really, and remind yourself when you're going through difficult times. I think it humbles you as well. And then, of course, the hard work, the dedication, devotion, the discipline, all of those values and virtues that you need to work on daily and to kind of make them in a way a conscious presence every single day, because without that there's absolutely no success.
Hi Novak, why would you say that clay is the surface where you need more time to pick, to find your rhythm? Is it more technically, is it more the movement, or is it a bit of everything? A bit of everything.
It's a movement, it's every bounce more or less is different. It's such an irregular bounce surface, you have wind, you have, clay that is a surface that is alive, basically. Let's compare. Let's call it this way. Like grass in a way. But it's just when clay. If you have a windy day, wind takes out the top layer of the surface, and then affects the bounce. It affects the spin of the ball, the speed of the court. So of course, if it rains or something like this, or the conditions are different every single day, then it affects whether the clay is softer or harder. And so there's plenty of factors that are in play, and you just have to deal with so much more than other surfaces. That's how I feel. So sometimes it's really overwhelming, but it's all about, I guess, adjusting to that. I feel that it takes more practice sessions, more weeks of spending time on the court and working on your shots, working on your tactics, on technique, on adaptation to the court than any other surface. I mean, some players say, I've been hearing some players say that about grass, but for me, I've been fortunate that on grass I adapt really quickly, but clay is something that really demands time for me. Thank you.